What's going on, boys and girls? Welcome back to another Wuthering Wave video. Alright guys, we got less than 2 weeks, I believe, before this game actually drops, or right about 2 weeks actually, and I think it's time to get some knowledge. Now, I don't have access to the Wuthering Waves CBT2, but I do know a few people that do, and one of those individuals, I am Rivenous. Make sure, if you love guides and you love numbers and you love proper testing and you know my content, I'm all about proper testing. This is an individual who I highly respect because they, number one, they put a lot of effort into their content. Number two, they put insane amount of effort into their data testing and collecting. You guys should see this guy's spreadsheets. He and I were content creators also on Reverse 1999, and I can tell you now, he's one of those people that I actually fully trust. So I will put the video in my description. Please go and subscribe and like this video. It's incredibly well done. I'm going to review it with you guys. He's going to drop some knowledge. We're both going to learn a little bit more about Wuthering Waves and what we should expect as a beginner's guide, including character, stamina, team building, and other stuff as well. So you can see this video is popping off. He's already got 1K likes and 17K views already in a day. So highly recommend checking this out and doing this. Let's look at it together and see what he has to say.
And Wuthering Waves will finally release. But when it does, do you know which characters to go for, how to build them, and what pitfalls to watch out for, especially when looking at early stamina investment? If not, this video is for you. And
Perfect.
If yes, and you have a waifu bias just like me, I am sure you will still learn something from this video. So let's get started and talk about stamina, investment, character, and team building in Wuthering Waves.
Perfect. Let's do this. Excited. Beginner's guide, stamina, investment, character, and team building.
As usual, a short disclaimer. This info is mostly based on the CBT2, so things will change a bit, and for some things I have to do very rough estimations based on my own experience with the CBT2. However...
Okay, so real quick, that is the key thing to remember. All of these guides, everything that anyone has put out, including myself, is running off of data from other content creators, including I am Rivenous, and the fact that everything is in the closed beta testing too, right? Phase. Anything can happen in global. The producers could blow stuff up. Developers could blow everything up as well too. Make characters completely different, kits completely different, the way things are handled, the way things are given out, rewards, etc. Just keep in mind, a lot of this can change. Most likely won't, but it can, okay? Just disclaimer for everybody.
That is also the reason why I will not yet link my sheets just yet, but
Perfect.
I will show you all results I have currently in the video.
And look at that. This is what I'm talking about, FIM. Look how organized this is. This man is next level when it comes down to organization. Now, if you guys know the way I test, I do something very similar, not as intense as I am Rivenous, but this is the reason why I respect him so much, because of the way he provides his data. It's all clear cut. It's all there. It's not just hearsay. He actually has proof behind what he does. And this is, I think, very important for any content creator who makes guides to do.
Yeah. If anything is a rough estimation, I will let you know, and I also will update the description and pin a comment with the sheets soon after the game releases.
Perfect.
We will talk about the following in this video. Effective and resource-saving leveling for your characters in relation to the DPS loss. Don't waste your wave plates. Stamina resource investment guide. Leveling and investment priorities. Resonators, skills, weapons, and echoes. Echoes, what they are and what stats to look out for. Echo sets and builds. How to build good teams. Learn the why and don't just copy the best in slot teams without
That right there is a big one.
understanding why.
So, as somebody who makes guides myself, I love to explain the why. Yes, the videos are longer. Yes, they're a little bit more to listen to. But you know what they say? You can teach a man, what is it? You can teach a horse to drink, what? You can bring a horse to a lake to drink water, whatever, but you can't make it drink or whatever. You know what that saying is? You know what I'm talking about, right? Anyways, it's like, I rather teach somebody how to take care of themselves rather than take care of them for the rest of their lives, right? And this is as a father or as somebody who, you know, who has kids and obviously has a family. It's all about passing on knowledge and making sure that knowledge is applied. And I think this is the best strategy to do that.
Why Verina is disgustingly broken and by far the best unit in the game, and it is like not even close. And team building example. Jiyan. First up, let's talk about the characters in this game. They are called Resonators, and just like in most games, you can level them up to level 90 using resonance potions.
Level 90.
Any resonator from level 1 to 90 will cost you around 2.4 million experience.
Okay.
By simply playing the game and opening chests, title heritages, or doing puzzles and quests, you will receive just enough experience to get around 1.5 characters up to level 90. However, Wuthering Waves endgame does require 3 fully built teams of 3 Resonators each, which
That's
means
9.
you do want to have at least 9 characters
Maxed
leveled
out.
and built to a certain degree.
Not
From
maxed
my
out, I guess.
early
To a certain
theory
degree.
crafting, getting any character from level 80 to 90 will grant you around 10 to 15% more DPS, while costing you
It's not bad.
31% of the total XP required to get any character from 1 to 90.
So the idea here is don't go 1 to 90 in all characters. Going from 1 to 70 is where you want to go, which is 45% of the total cost, which only losing out around 25% damage compared to level 9. That's actually pretty good. So yeah, the key number here is getting a few to 90 and then the other ones to 70. Makes sense.
That is roughly the same experience you need to get another Resonator from level 1 to around level 62. So set XP will likely cost you around 2 to 3 days, and this is a rough estimate, worth of wave plates. Getting your skill level from 9 to 10 will likely cost you around 12 days of wave plates.
Wow.
For a single skill. Again, a rough estimate, and I actually might be very wrong about this one. But in any case, early into the game you will have to decide between getting 1 character fully built, which will cost you a month of stamina resources, or leveling 4 or 5 other characters to around level 60 for the same cost. Personally, I would advise early into the game to build 3 different DPS with a focus on getting them to level 80. For all other characters, you can do the same, as you will need 9
level
units
80
in total, and it is fine to leave your supports at level 60 or 70 ascended in the beginning. However, I do want to emphasize, this advice is only for the early stages of the game, as a means to allow you to progress through the various stages of the Tower of Adversity. Your final goal should indeed be level 90 with your main DPS, and level 80 ascended for any supports and sub-DPS. For the skills, they are probably fine at around level 7 or 8. Now that I already mentioned Ascended and Ascension a few times, when your Resonator hits level 20, 40, 50, 60, 70 or 80, you will need specific Ascension, also called Breakthrough materials, to be able to continue leveling your Resonators or weapons.
Clearly going to the bosses at this point.
Also means you will need to spend your wave plates, or resin in Genshin terms, to defeat world bosses for the respective loot. And this is where it gets interesting.
Alright, so far so good, guys. Great advice so far.
Early on, you will unlock a feature called Simulation Training. This thing is absolutely bait, and there is no reason whatsoever to early on invest any wave plates into the simulation training. You will receive many materials from just playing the game, chests, puzzles, quests, the gift shop and so on. This will supply you with enough resources to fully build 1 team or 3 Resonators without you ever having to touch that farming domain.
Okay, great.
But that also leaves open the question, how should you actually spend your wave plates? Well, the answer is world bosses. They drop the necessary materials to ascend your Resonators, while also still dropping you some experience materials for your Resonators, weapons and echoes. Also, you want to farm them anyway for the echoes.
Yeah, you want the echoes, that's right.
The rate is approximately half to a third of the simulation training, early on at least. However, this value declines massively the higher you get on levels. I would argue, as of my current information I have right now, and by that mean I could be wrong, do not spend any wave plates on the sim training or forgery challenges until about Union level 35.
Okay.
You will unlock the world bosses early on, and they are
the
most efficient way to spend your wave plates early into the game.
Yeah, I've heard this advice.
They will also start at level 35, and if you are skill gapped by those bosses, that is fine. Just make sure you do spend your wave plates in any way, and the most important thing is simply to spend them. That being said, let's talk about priorities. We have the Resonator skills levels, their weapons and echoes. But before I talk about echoes, let's talk about the others. Always level your main DPSs as much as you can, and make sure their weapons are also at the maximum
DPS is
level.
king.
Regarding
DPS is
weapons, don't spend too many resources into 3-star weapons and try to aim for 4-star or even better, 5-star ones instead. The attack those weapons provide are base attack, which works exactly the same way as it does in Genshin, and by that I mean they are the most substantial damage increase you can get, aside from the Resonator levels and Ascensions. Try to keep your Resonator skill levels up to date, but you do not need to level any skills past level 7, at least for now. Which skills to prioritize when leveling them are dependent on the character itself. And as I want to keep this video as generic as possible, I will not include any information on that.
And that's fair.
That being said,
Totally
let's
fair.
talk about echoes. Echoes are the equipment of this game, and you farm them in the overworld. Doing so together with friends allows you to farm multiple worlds per day. Echoes come in 3 costs and 4 ranks. There are 1 cost, 3 cost, and 4 cost.
So real quick, the co-op, that's where the co-op comes into play, right? For a lot of people who don't know how Wuthering Waves co-op works, is you will have different instances or worlds that your friends are in. You're going to have to team up with them and go into their world and farm their echoes, and they can do the same with yours. That way you have more chances of getting the higher end echoes that you're looking for. That's essentially how this works. And I think that's going to take up a lot of time for a lot of folks.
And all of them can be either rank 2, 3, 4, or 5. The main stats the echo provides depend on their rank, and you always want to aim for a rank 5 echo later into the game. However, the maximum rarity you can obtain and the chance to obtain said rarity are dependent on your databank level, also known as the terminal level. This also means you definitely want to prioritize raising your databank level to be able to farm higher ranked echoes as soon as possible. I will also talk about this in a separate video, but this should be your utmost priority early into the game. 1 cost echoes always have either flat HP, defense, or attack as their main stats. When selecting your echoes for your resonator, simply take the echoes which have the most important stat for the respective character, which in most cases will be attack. For the 3 cost echoes, they can have one of the following stats: attack percent, defense percent, HP percent, energy regen percent, or any of the elemental damage percents, for example, a arrow damage bonus. For most characters, you will likely want to choose 3 costs, which have their corresponding elemental damage bonus. However, if a character already has an inherently built-in damage bonus from their kit, attack percent or energy regen for supports are probably the better choice. An example of this would be Jiyan, who already has a built-in 50% glacier damage bonus.
Okay.
4 cost echoes can either have crit rate, crit damage, healing bonus, or again a percent bonus for attack, defense, or HP. You always want crit rate or crit damage in basically every single character except for
best multiplier
healers.
Always. Best multiplier for any DPS.
Are incredibly varied, and on top we do not have exact information as of right now on what has changed since the last CBT. So I will not include that in the on your terminal level. Any character can have a maximum loadout of 8, 10 or 12. This loadout is also called cost and references, well, exactly that. The sum of all equipped echoes cost cannot be higher than the loadout.
Okay. Sorry, I'm going to fast forward that part because I think that's pretty straightforward. Every echo costs an amount, you can only have up to 10 points, etc.
That being said,
you gotta have enough for that.
Let's talk about sets. Each echo can be one of 2 sets, and each set provides a 2-piece and a 5-piece bonus.
Yeah, this part annoys me, the 5-piece.
Each element as well as 3 generic sets. You usually want the 5-piece set bonus on all your characters, but if you do not have good enough pieces to fulfill that condition, going for stats. 2 2-piece sets and 1 off-piece is fine as well, even if it is not best in slot.
Yeah,
that term
makes sense.
Is honestly overrated anyway. In any case, try to match the set to your Resonator's element. For supports, you either want the energy-based set, Moonlit, or the healing support set, Rejuvenating.
Okay.
Wow, that
straightforward.
Was a lot, and I hope you aren't tired yet, because now that we know how to build the Resonators themselves, we want to dive into how to build the teams. And hence, let's start with a disclaimer. There nearly always will be a specific best in slot team for any main DPS.
Makes sense.
However, the goal of this video is to teach you on what to look out for when you want to build a team for your favorite character. Secondly, teams and builds will change over the course of the game, which also means this part of the video could, theoretically speaking, be completely redundant when the game releases. Although, that is very unlikely. To get started, we first have to understand the 3 categories or roles any character can fulfill.
Now, let me guess. This is DPS, sub-DPS, and support. I mean, that's usually how it goes. And here's the thing. He and I actually had a conversation about this today. I hate the word sub-DPS, right? Because, I mean, you're pretty much swapping in, doing something, some form of damage, and a buff or a debuff of some sort, and you're swapping out to your main DPS or your buffer. That's usually how it goes with sub-DPSs.
Main DPS, sub-DPS, and support. The main DPS is the Resonator, which will take the most field time, whereas the sub-DPS and supports will usually only stay on field for a short while.
Yeah.
So let's have a look at the current Resonators at the time of the game's release. For the main DPS, we have Calchado, Jiyan, Jinlin, and yes, she is a main DPS, and anyone who says she is a sub-DPS has actually not understood her kit, and by that
So this is actually one of the reasons why we had this conversation about Yunlin specifically.
I mean, just
and I agree
because
with
any
him.
character is able to deal some damage while off-field, that doesn't mean they are completely an off-fielder. Danjin, Angkor, Qixia, Lingyan, and Sanhua, in no particular order. For the sub-DPS characters, we have Yuan Wu, Jianjing, Rover, Taoshi, and Aalto. For the supports, we have Verina, Mortefi, Baiji, and Yang Yang. Also, please excuse if I butchered any names here.
I do the same, bro.
Let's
Don't even
start
worry
with
about
the
it.
latter, as you
Still
are
struggling with
probably
Sao,
asking
Su,
yourself,
Sa.
why is Yang Yang a
So
support?
leveling.
And that is a good question, but there are multiple reasons for that. But the two biggest being, number one, she takes a lot of field time for her combo, while dishing out basically no damage compared to other main DPS characters. Number two, her ultimate is where she provides her actual real value, because she is basically a mini venti, if you have ever played Genshin Impact.
Vacuum.
Even if the
Bring everybody
sub-area
together.
of her ultimate is quite small. She supports the team by grouping enemies, and
There it
anybody
is.
who has
Yep.
ever played Genshin and does not have a Kazuha probably
Venti
knows
was
how
amazing for
important
that.
it can be. However, I also want to mention that the later stages in the Tower of Adversity, as well as hologram bosses, are either mostly or completely focused on single target bosses, which means she will lose out on a lot of value for those. Oh, and well, technically she also boosts the ultimate damage of the next character taking the field after her outro skill by 20%, but to be honest, since the game is so fluid and reactive, that is honestly not really great to rely on. Baiji and Verina have clearly designed support kits, and Mortefi is a straight up buff support to all heavy attack main DPS. The role of sub-DPS Resonators is to either deal damage while off-field, an example here would be Yuan Wu, who is also basically Fischl, or to fill in for a few seconds while your main DPS has to recharge.
Right.
What exactly recharge means is highly dependent.
You can see her
on the
damage
main
is still
DPS
kicking in
and
while
his
she's
build.
out off field.
An example here could be Jiyan again, who you mostly want to be on field with his ultimate active. If you do not have enough energy recharge, you probably have to swap him out for a bit. And
see how quickly
I
the
can
swap
already hear
works.
some people typing, but I can't generate his ultimate energy while he is off field. And to that I say, you are wrong, because 30% of energy generated is shared to your teammates.
There you go.
However, this shared energy is not affected by energy dragging by the on-fielder. The main DPS is the character you usually want
Yeah,
to
you can see,
receive
so
your buffs
you can see
and
the
spend
dots
most
still
of the
happening,
time
right?
with on
Or the
field.
skills.
This is your most important character,
So sub-DPS
and as
right there.
already established early on, the character you want to put in most of your resources. Now, let's make an example
Okay. So far, we're getting a lot of good information here, guys. So shout out to I Am Rivetus. This is a great video.
of how a team could be built. Let's say you really like Jiyan and you want to build a team around him. Reading his kit carefully, we know that he is heavily based on heavy attacks and AoE. We also know that most of his value comes while his ultimate is active. This makes it really easy to select a support for him. Mortefi. Mortefi is literally built to support heavy attacks, and he is the only support for that at that. In this case, he will also function as a sub-DPS. The reason for that is because we are missing any sustain, and if you are watching this video, you are probably not good enough to literally never get hit by anything. However, there's also another
Challenge
reason,
accepted.
which is that we fortunately also pulled Verina, and Verina is absolutely busted. She is by far the best character in the entire game, and it is not even close.
Everybody
Not
says that.
only has she a built-in Bailu, which on top of that also gives you a shield based on her tag, she also basically always guarantees a 20% attack buff with a 60% uptime.
Which is insane.
No. She also does follow-up attacks while being attack percent based, while she is off-field. And she also can heal your team while on the field and off the field. And You think we are done?
This is like a lot of different characters from Honkai Star Rail in one, by the way. Some pretty damn OP characters at that.
Oh no, if that wouldn't be enough already. She has a literally 15% damage boost through multiplier. And that is the only one in the game so far. I won't go in.
Now you guys can see why she's the most wanted character. And this, I know we are a lot of us are like waifu or looks and husbandos, but this character, man,
to damage buckets,
busted.
But she literally increases all damage dealt by 15% with 100% uptime. If you get her, build her and play her. She is likely even future-proof for a while because another character would literally need to do the same as her, but with higher numbers to replace her. And because we need 3 teams and hence 3 supports, they would need to release 3 of them. Sorry for that, I guess you get it. Verina is good. Anyway.
Beyond good, bro.
That being said, let's just assume we do not have Verina. So who else do we pick? If you feel safe on not getting hit, Jiyan might be a good addition to help you clear AoE scenarios faster, but A. Jiyan already is very strong in these situations. Again, he is AoE based, and B. He doesn't profit from her 20% ultimate damage boost, since his ultimate damage is considered heavy attack damage. That means we either want to pick a sustain, or a character who will help us out with Jiyan's weakness, and that is single target damage. This is honestly a bit difficult, since most single target damage focused units are main DPS and require way more field time than Jiyan wants to give. Jiang might be a good pick, since she can also provide a shield for Jiyan, but she also doesn't really help out with the single target damage. As you probably already noticed, we have a significant lack of supports right now. Your best pick might actually be Alto, however I have not calculated that, so take it with a grain of salt. At least he can provide a taunt with his skill, as well as granting arrow damage bonus to Jiyan with his outro skill, and he does a little bit of off-field damage. So, this has been a long video, and I hope I covered everything you need to know to start Wuthering Waves when the game releases. Or if the game already is released and you're watching it afterwards, still. I would highly appreciate it if you would subscribe and leave me a like. Videos like these always take a lot of time. Also join the Discord if you haven't done so. Thanks for watching and have a nice day. Peace.
Alright guys, so first off, appreciate this. This is a lot of good content, a lot of good material in one video, and very structured and put together. So please, I am Rivenous, go join his channel, subscribe, like the video, show this man some support. He does incredibly good guides, and I'm a big fan of his testing and his content, and he and I will be probably staying in touch quite a bit when this game does drop officially. He already has access to it, so clearly he has the advantage in terms of creating good guides, and I'm happy he does because, again, this is somebody I actually trust with his methods and his testing, and the knowledge he gives out is not just hearsay. He actually puts a lot of work into all of this. So first off, shout out to you, my man. Well done video, incredible. So what takeaways here are pretty straightforward. Don't do any simulations and stuff with your stamina. Use your stamina to fight world bosses and collect all of your stuff from there. Number 2, Verina's broken. Everybody's been saying that, obviously. Number 3, SubDPS, DPS, and support. Build around your DPS. Your DPS should be your number 1 focus. Leveling up your DPS to level 90 should be a priority, or getting a couple to level 80 first, and then focusing on your supports and to level 60 or 70 early on, and then moving over, obviously, to 90 and then 70 or 80 end game. So there's a lot of like simple information here that is going to be fairly obvious to a lot of you, but getting skills to level 7 only is a priority. Don't go above that because it's a waste. So things like that are things like that are very important, obviously, right? And also understanding echoes, playing co-op, playing with friends, making friends, joining their worlds, collecting echoes, and making sure that you're going for the proper stats. Attack percentage being the highest one. After you get the 3 stars, you'll probably go in crit rate. It's probably going to be the next big one with crit damage, obviously. And then, of course, leveling up your weapons. Your 5-star, 4-star weapons. Don't focus too much on 3-star weapons. Those are pretty much the big takeaways from this. Understanding that you need eventually 3 teams of 70 to 90 heroes or characters is going to be very important. So make sure you're doing that as well too. So overall, fantastic video. So thank you so much. I am Rivenous for sharing this with us. There you guys go. Original video will be in the description. Please go like, subscribe, watch it as many times as you need to get this information. I just want to learn with you guys and give my reactions to it. So far, makes complete sense. All right, guys, the Payne. Hope you enjoyed the video. I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Take care.